My name is Anastasiya. I'm Ukrainian-based architect. My main focus now is creating dignified, inclusive, and affordable houses for internally displaced people in Ukraine. I'm part of a big project that called CO-HATY. It's a Ukrainian-based initiative, and since the beginning of full-scale invasion back to March 22, and now it's institution that aim to set the model and the project for affordable houses in Ukraine and probably beyond. I am leading now the construction and also overall management of 10th CO-HATY building in Kalush. And this project is very challenging for us because we're going to establish a long-term housing model that will enable people to stay longer if they want, and to feel inclusive and to feel comfortable. So we are trying so hard to make it happen. And we want to show the world that not only rapid changes is possible during the war regarding the reconstruction, but also long-term solutions are also possible. CO-HATY itself is a good example of collaborative project wherein many people from different backgrounds, different disciplines are created a team that are capable to act and produce a project and help others. We are collaborating very close with local municipality in this Kalush territorial territorial community, because we are simply not will be able to do this project without their support. We are dealing within communal property, and we want to keep it as it is to prevent privatization and speculation with this property. And we had to start from the auction, from the public auction, to get these assets for 10 years. And I think we are the first organization in Ukraine that make it happen. And now we are in the process of reconstruction of this property that eventually will increase the quality of the space. In 10 years, we have the idea that we'll give it back to the community, and municipality will be able to operate this property in a way that we understand, like in a way that will be comfortable for the community. And of course, we would like to share the world that this cooperation is really important between NGO sector, the third sector, and municipality, especially for the housing, for creating like a better, or like in case of Ukraine, like the great housing stock of social houses. Municipality definitely need our support because they're super overwhelmed with other stuff, with their duty during the war. Meanwhile, we are as the NGO can really be more creative, more flexible, more sensitive to the community. And I think we are like a very good partners in this case. Before 2022 and CO-HATY project, I've been actively involved in many participatory and research projects all around Ukraine, including east part of Ukraine. I worked a lot with displaced communities and long-term locals in eastern cities. And I think this experience really helped me a lot to understand how to help to the growing number of forcibly displaced people in Ukraine in the beginning of full-scale invasion. And when I flee from Kiev to Ivano-Frankivsk, I met a fantastic NGO MetaLab that was in the ground and already responds to the needs of community that suffer from the war. And together we created this idea of CO-HATY that at that moment we look at something that could respond immediately, like could be a shelter for forcibly displaced people, but also kind of start to test something for the sustainable model of the house. There is no like short-term and long-term solution. So each decision is important. And especially during the war, it's important to avoid unpractical solution that might not be useful in a year, because we are dealing in a scarcity of resources. And we are dealing in the context where the huge demand for housing is fact. And to do something rapid, temporary only, temporary is, it doesn't make a lot of sense for me. I also believe that architecture is an instrument that shouldn't compromise social part of our life, ecological part of our life. And it, while has to be beautiful, yeah, has to be beautiful, a space has to be beautiful. And during the war, I realized that the beauty is not the extra something sophisticated elements of the quality of the space. Beauty is needed for people that suffer from the war because they feel pleased by architect, by people that produce this space. They also feel less traumatized, they feel more calm. So beauty is a very, very important element. And for me, CO-HATY, as a first project, when I'm as an architect, shouldn't compromise aesthetic over the social aspect. So I create a space that looks beautiful and are extremely needed for people that are simply don't have a space to stay. So that scares me a lot that people should, and this is their open data in Ukraine, that people have to eat less in order to pay a rent, a housing rent. So because this is such a high price in the market. And for me as an architect, it means that I need to create the space that's affordable and safe and beautiful at the same time. I can say that's possible. For me, it's very hard to deny that we need to act now. I mean, this is a pretty obvious. People need space to stay. I mean, I'm not talking about there like many aspects of the reconstruction that are needed as infrastructural construction. I'm talking from perspective of houses. That's very, very important to do now, to act now. Otherwise, people just forced to return to occupied territory because they don't have space and options in Ukraine. And this fact really shocking, yeah, for many practitioners and for the soldiers, for the Ukraine that's fighting against their aggressors. And it's kind of philosophical discussion. Yeah, what we are fighting for if people are not able to stay and they come back to the occupied territory. And of course, it's difficult to act during the war in the context that are dominated by the narrative about the post-war reconstruction, the narrative about a huge corruption in Ukraine, a narrative about the weak professional community that are not capable. Of course, it's really difficult. I could say we are not fighting only with the aggressors, we're also somehow in a debate with this narrative that against this goal to act now. And I think it's important to talk about these challenges and what is more important, to present the result that is possible, that is feasible. People shouldn't wait for the war is over or something, I don't know, perfect plan to be prepared, to get access to this help, space, house. Sometimes not easy to be a woman in this sphere. However, during the war, it's really difficult to claim for women's rights, even if it's about professional women's rights within this architectural realm, and at the same time face the reality that men are less mobile. There are so many responsibilities on their shoulders. I feel like very uncomfortable complaining about my role because I feel myself is so capable today. And honestly, very also supportive by my colleagues that are men. It's important to be in this disposition, to be optimist regarding this gender inequality in Ukraine and understanding that at some point Ukraine is a very specific context where this balance is different to, let's say, safe European cities. I feel a huge responsibility. At the same time, I feel that I feel very useful within the society. So it's also a privilege to be in position when you can really help and do not feel useless, do not feel a person that lost a mission, that lost a vision, to be able to act, to help other people. I think it's a treasure. On the top of this list are people that are not forcibly returned to occupied territory, that are not staying on the street, not literally, but in these transit shelters, in sport facilities, in school, and so on and so forth. This is the most motivated aspect. But of course, as an architect, I'm highly motivated by production of space that, as I said, not compromise social value of it. Yeah, so it's beautiful, meaningful, and in CO-HATY case also like ecologically, yeah, good. Yeah, so we've been reusing abandoned building. We transform them into something valuable for community now, for community of IDPs and also long-term locals. And of course, it's a big pleasure to see that I'm able to do a holistically good job, honestly. I dream about like a whole settlements of new houses or refurbished houses in Ukraine, to be able to test like self-sustainable economical model for housing reconstruction, housing operation, to be less dependent on humanitarian international help and to find their feasible economical model on the ground. We are moving to that way, and I believe that's going to be a dream project. And I also dream about experiments with material reuse, bio-based materials. So we are in a way to integrate more of this solution into CO-HATY to support this general reuse strategy. I would like to implement project with hemp insulation, with reused salvage materials from around the world. I kind of like this idea of supporting our project not in a financial way, but in a like material-wise way. And I dream about Ukraine become as also a very a frontier of experiment with reused salvaged materials. Yeah. I welcome you to visit Ukraine, to witness our resistant capacities, yeah, our resilient societies, communities. I think it's the best way to believe in the approaches we have been implementing, CO-HATY and other great teams in Ukraine. Важливо, підтримка важлива. Ми теж не залізні і не завжди оптимістичні, не завжди в силі, тому часом підтримка це теж нас витягує з стану якоїсь зневіри і втоми. Дякуємо.